because they had the Pelicans there for what, 2 seasons?
Yeah, or like a season and a half.
Season and a half, yeah, after Katrina.
Yeah.
So I accidentally hit the button down here, so it was not recording any of the sound.
Oh no!
But this is Jason Reid. He's Emmy and Webby award-winning director and producer of Sonicsgate. Sorry for the sound delay or sound. Sorry, like we're still.
We can cover the ground again.
All right, now let's just keep rolling with it, man. So, tell us about Dirtbag. Tell us about this, man.
Dirtbag's our new feature documentary. It's about Northwest legend Fred Beckey. If you don't know who he is, he kind of like wrote the book on all the mountains around this area. He has more first ascents than any other climber in the history of North America. He's also like a super crazy and wild character. Just like you've never met anyone like him. He climbed from the time he was a kid till age 94. Passed away. He passed away a year ago.
Oh, okay.
And he was just a total badass. He climbed for 80 years. He basically invented the dirtbag culture, which is like the guys that you see now, like the movie Free Solo and Alex Honnold and these guys. They're living out of their vans. They're going from climb to climb. Well, Fred was doing that in like the 30s and 40s before anyone was doing that.
Okay.
And he was out there. He discovered most of the peaks in this area and climbed them for the first time. And we tell his life story. Basically, we had access to all his materials. So we have films from the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s.
Really?
We have over 10,000 photographs, archival photographs. There's also footage of him from age 83 to 93 as the guy, Dave Oleski, the director who we partnered with, had been filming with Fred for like a decade. So you get to see Fred as he's aging and still trying to go and climb these massive
That's really
peaks.
cool.
But yeah, it's been a huge hit. We've won 26 awards at film festivals all over the world. Screened like hundreds and hundreds of times all over the place. Patagonia is our sponsor.
Okay.
They took it out on tours. Yeah, it's been a big success. It's available on iTunes and all the different platforms right now.
Check that one out for sure.
Yeah.
I want to watch that. I watched the legalization Evergreen. That's what it's
Evergreen.
called,
The road to legalization.
What actually had what made you want to do a documentary on the legalization of it?
Well, I mean, it was a pretty historic moment. And I have two friends who are filmmakers, Nils Cowan, Riley Morton, and they, told me when they started, hey, we're going to start filming both the yes and no side just in case this thing happens.
Right.
It's like, cool, keep me in the loop. I love to edit and I like the producing side of things. I was like, I'll come on board. Like if the thing shows promise, if it passes or whatever, that it passed. And I was like, called him up the next day. I was like, hey, what's going on? They're like, oh, we were just filming last night. we have a year and a half's worth of footage. And I was like, cool. Like, let's partner up. Our team will come on board, do the editing and producing and help to get it distributed. And yeah, it was like a really interesting story because like the no people were actually the most pro-cannabis people because it was going to disrupt their industry that had been built up over the last decade as opposed to like the conventional people, like soccer moms or other people that would normally be like, or police officers.
Sure.
Well, they actually had police officers on their side for legalization because they were sick of locking up people for stupid reasons.
Right.
So anyway, it's like, it was a really interesting documentary to be involved in because like I got to learn all about how the law, basically we take it from initiative signature gathering all the way through the election. So what does it take to do like, a grassroots effort to change a system. And we were like the first along with Colorado to do it.
Yeah.
And now you see there's like 20% of the country is legal.
Yeah, no, I actually thought it was really interesting seeing the perspective of the people who were no because of their medicinal usage, because of the DUI like percentage that was I don't know how to word this, like the DUI percentage would have went up because of the legal limit of how much they were using.
Well, the testing isn't that accurate yet. Right. Honestly, we have like the harshest DUI law for cannabis in the country of anywhere. We also don't have home grow here. They passed a pretty conservative form of legalization, which we get into in the movie, as opposed to like Oregon, you can grow plants at home. They don't have a specific driving provision. So yeah, I mean, the people who are on medical cannabis all the time, that means that they can never drive, even if they're not impaired because like if it's their medicine or whatever.
Right.
But I mean, they're working out some of the kinks with our laws, and I think they're they've seen how they passed it, a more conservative one, to guarantee it would get passed, like kind of like playing it a little too safe in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that.
But they got it done, so you can't criticize it. But Colorado and Oregon and these other states have more liberal laws.
Right.
So
yeah. Well, I mean, that's Washington for you.
yeah, there's a lot of that actually in Washington.
Go Sonics. Yeah. Okay. So everybody's saying go Sonics. I like that.
Go Sonics. Yeah, we can talk more.
We need to bring them back, man.
We barely scratched the surface.
Yeah.
Oh
so,
yeah, that's a lot more.
We actually wrote down some questions for you too, but
In a very unorganized fashion.
But so tell me what your opinion on it as a shared franchise and shared stats. I saw online that Russell Westbrook is the now highest scoring Seattle Supersonic.
Yeah, it's pretty embarrassing. I mean, it's total BS that the team records and everything went with the team. But from Clay Bennett's perspective, he's like, I'm buying this franchise that has this history, and part of the value of the franchise that I'm buying is the history of that franchise. It's not that it's just a new one. And I think the NBA wanted the records and everything to be included in the sale. So, like, what should happen is those records, we retain the rights to keep the name the Seattle Supersonics. Those records should have stayed in Seattle, and since they didn't, they should be restored to Seattle once we get a team back. Now, we get an expansion team, that's a lot easier. If we get another team, let's say we get the Grizzlies, well, they were Vancouver, then Memphis. So, technically, the team that's coming to us is the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
So, we would inherit their history, but then they would be rebranded the Sonics. So it's like
it's a mess.
So I think what should happen is that they will restore the Sonics records to Seattle. There'll probably be a financial settlement, hopefully, where whoever is buying the Sonics will pay Clay Bennett $5 million to take those things back.
Right.
Now, I don't know how that affects like Russell Westbrook beating Gary Payton as the #1 franchise scorer of all time. Like, it's such a mess they created.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that on the other hand, that might be kind of simple because then he just goes to the #1 OKC score.
And I think that, like, honestly, from what I've heard from Clay Bennett is he doesn't really want to remember anything about the Sonics. So I think ultimately, like, Clay Bennett will take a few mil to, like, sell that stuff off if the NBA allows him to do it. If we get an expansion franchise, then it's way easier to do because it's like, okay, here's your Sonics records. There's a gap in the records for these years.
That's when the team is missing.
It's super easy. Yeah. The Thunder, like when they started playing Oklahoma City, that's their records. And you could easily like adjust the stats.
Right.
Wouldn't be that hard.
No, it wouldn't. It would take some work for somebody. And
Greg Nichols, he's on Twitter. He's the one who allowed for our records and things to go. And the city council, some of which are still sitting, voted yes unanimously.
Yeah. Yeah. What is the name of the guy at the state senate or at the state legislature?
The guy with the mustache?
Yeah.
Chop.
Yeah. Chop. Yeah.
Still in office.
Yeah. That's crazy, man.
And from the city of Seattle.
How does that get up to him on that level? And this is immediately just no. Like, he didn't want anything to do with it.
He's been an obstructionist. He's a guy that, like, I think gets off on having the control, and he is the gatekeeper. And he had a chance, just like everybody at some point, to save the team. There was $150 million that Jim Senegal and Ballmer and everything said they put towards Key Arena renovation. Greg Nichols and the city had agreed to $75 million. We needed $75 million more in
private owned.
In 2008 to be able to say, hey, we can renovate Key Arena, and that's good enough for the NBA to play there. And you know what? He wouldn't even bring it up for a vote. He wouldn't bring it up for a vote. So we couldn't even hold the people accountable because we don't know where everyone stood on it, and because that happened, that totally undermined the city's position with the lawsuit and everything. And, there was no viable alternative for Bennett's Renton Arena because there wasn't funding for the Seattle Arena. So you see David Stern in the movie is just like, well, you're telling me there's an arena deal? Is there an arena deal there? Well, no, there's not an arena deal. Okay, well, then there's not an arena deal. And it just screwed us. So Frank Chop screwed us big time. And he's still in office. And he's still the Speaker of the House. And he's still the gatekeeper, although he's going to retire soon. I ran into him a couple years after Sonicsgate came out in a coffee shop. Started, like, shaking. I'm just like, oh, my God, it's Frank Chop. And so, like, I, go up to him and just like, hey, Mr. Chop, I made Sonicsgate. And he's like, oh, I've heard about it. I haven't watched it. My son said that you used flattering images of me. And it's like, I was like, yeah, well, they're all the same. It's just a boring ass dude with a mustache.
Jose says, thank you, Jason Reid, for what you have done for the organization. F OKC, F Starbucks, and etc. LOL. I had to vent.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you.
So tell me how BS that the arena plan that Clay Bennett came up with was, man. Like, it's in the worst spot.
Yeah, it's awful. I mean, I was actually explaining this in an interview I did. Just to explain how bad of a spot it is. It's not in the city of Seattle. It's at the worst traffic intersection. 405 is the worst. Down in Renton. What are we gonna call them? The Renton Supersonics? I mean, come on. So and he basically wanted $500 million of pure public handout. And of course, the city of Seattle's not going to get behind that because they would be losing a team. So then you're reliant on the county and the state to do it. He said they might put in up to $100 million if they get at least $400 million in handout. He hired $1 million architects and all this stuff to prove that he was trying to keep the team in Seattle, but he just spent that money as a front. Yeah. He had no intention to do it. He had no intention to put any of the money there. He had no intention to keep the team in Seattle. It was all BS, and he knew it wasn't going to pass. He knew it wasn't going to pass. Schultz knew it wasn't going to pass when he sold the team to them. Everybody screwed us. And sure, yeah, we could have bent over backwards and done the Renton plan. It should never have been in Renton.
No.
It was just a non-starter from the beginning.
Would you have settled for it to have been in Tacoma or Kent or?
Tacoma's pretty far.
Yeah.
Not really.
Not really.
I should be in Seattle.
I agree
with the light rail and everything. There's arguments if that's where it really needed to get done. SOTA, where we're at right now, a mile north, still makes the most sense. It makes the most sense from a traffic perspective. Right. Makes the most sense from the other arenas being down here and having this arena district. Now, because Key Arena got the funding, fine. Key Arena is a great place to watch basketball. If they can pull it off and they can bring a team in there, totally fine. It's in the city of Seattle. It's the historic place the team's played. Great. But the way that things went down with the SOTA Arena is a whole nother story.
Right.
Which is our city screwing us again.
Yeah, that's a neighborhood.
But not going to complain. Yeah. Totally happy with Key Arena. Totally happy that we have an arena deal in place that we can actually attract an NBA team here. That's just how it goes.
Do you watch hockey at all? Are you excited?
Not much. I've never been to an NHL game.
Oh, okay.
I grew up going to Thunderbirds games at the Mercer Arena and stuff.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I like those. Those are always fun.
Yeah. I actually just recently went to a Thunderbirds game. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's good.
I'll go to some hockey games, but I'm not a hockey guy. I'm basketball first.
Yeah, for sure.
Sure, football and not really baseball, especially after the way the Mariners have handled the
yeah,
situation.
That's what I was going to ask you.
I have a lot of respect for them at this point.
Did you see that the Seattle Mariners for promotional tickets this year are offering a special day where it's the 40th anniversary of the 79 championship for the Sonics.
Oh, yeah?
They're trying to get some money off of hey, look, here's the Supersonics. But they were boycotting, basically saying we don't want anything to do with the Sonics being in this area.
Yeah, they basically were obstructionists for the SOTA Arena plan, which is ridiculous. They partnered with the Port and the Seattle Times to try to screw the deal.
So crazy.
Oh, yeah, it is crazy. it really I want to support all our local teams, but when the ownership makes decisions like that, it's just so stupid.
Yeah, I totally agree.
You're supposed to be on our side. We're Seattle sports fans, we're supposed to all support each other.
Absolutely.
Trying to prevent the team coming back, especially when we were wrong in such a horrible way.
I feel like having other teams like that thriving off of each other is always better anyway.
Yeah, and we have obviously a ton of people moving here with lots of money. We can absolutely support the franchises here.
Right. So when it goes up to a state vote for the arena deals and stuff like that, do you feel 90% of the time why it gets denied is because the people in Eastern Washington won't be able to really have the chance to come out to see these?
Not really. Frank Chopp's from Seattle. He represents Seattle.
Okay.
His district.
Okay.
He's not, I think it just, I think there probably are more football fans or even soccer fans east of the mountains. But right now we aren't asking for state funding. The Key Arena, these new plans are almost entirely privately funded, which is smart because we aren't going to get the state funding. We already shelled out $500 million for each of the stadiums that are there. I think people in this region have said pretty clearly, hey, we're supportive of keeping the teams there and everything, but we don't want to pay public dollars for that. And so what they did with Key Arena is they took a public property and they sort of bent over backwards to give them a great deal to build it. But that's better than, at least in taxpayers' eyes and stuff, that taking money out of the general fund or taking money out of taxes to pay for an arena, which could go somewhere else. This is literally like, all right, that's sitting there. Key Arena kind of sucks. You guys want to spend all this money to fix it up? Yeah. And we'll give you cheap rent.
Okay.
That's like how. So it's still giving them money, but
at the same time, it's
and Hanson's going to do everything for free down here too. But they, the port just put too much pressure on.
Right. Wasn't that one of the questions you had?
Yeah. Well, actually, I had a couple questions about that. So I'll start with the Key Arena renovations, and wrote down the numbers. So let me just. So in 1995 to 2014 for basketball, they had just over 17,000 seats, and this new renovation is going to add 1,500 more. In the movie, you're talking about how the Key Arena, even when the Sonics were here, it was a small footprint for an NBA franchise. Do you think really 1,500 more seats would be enough?
Well, I think the seating is less of an issue than the concourses.
Oh, okay.
So, and the suites. So, and I don't totally understand because I'm not an architect. The way that they are saying they're digging down, and because they dig down, they're going to be able to expand the footprint out because it's the bowl goes further down. It makes the concourses bigger. So there should be larger concourses and there should be more elaborate suites. I mean, they're basically going to gut everything.
Okay.
They're going to dig down and they're rebuild it all.
Okay.
So it's almost like a total.
So this is really just a way for them to add more restaurants and
stuff.
Yeah.
It's just going to be more luxury all around.
Okay.
There are more seats, and I don't know if you guys know the deep history of the Key Arena renovation from the 90s, but it was done in a way that just barely was too small for NHL.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Those 1,500 seats for NHL games are very critical because the NHL, whatever, court or field or ice rink or whatever, is larger than the basketball court. Yeah. And because you need the ice.
That makes sense.
So you need those extra seats. So a basketball game might be 19,000 in the arena. I'm just speculating. I think it's around these numbers. And I think basketball's 17,000. Back in Key Arena, we were at 17,000 for basketball, which might have meant 15,000 for hockey. I think hockey won 16 or 17,000. So,
right.
And there's all speculation if that was done intentionally or not. Because of competition.
You think so?
There's you can.
What's your opinion on it?
You can dig deep enough to. I mean, I think there's something to it.
Okay.
I think that the Ackerleys, there's some stories. I don't remember all the details, but the Ackerleys were going to build where the current Century Link field is, and it was going to be a hockey basketball arena. They didn't get the deal that they wanted, so they decided to renovate Key Arena, and they did it for a much cheaper plan, which didn't expand Key Arena enough to be able to hold NHL. Okay. So there's something to that story. I don't know all the details.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Dang, I didn't know that.
There's a lot. It's funny with all this Schultz stuff that's come up because I think all these reporters calling us and they're asking us all these questions. They've gone back and they've read every Steve Kelly column from the last decade, from the 90s and 2000s, and they're like, Steve Kelly wrote this in 2001. What do you think? And I'm just like, oh my god, these guys are awesome. And so then I'm just okay, there's all these unanswered questions I have with Sonicsgate, even though I'm an expert on the issue. I'm going to send all these reporters out in a bunch of different directions and see what they come up with. And so they're out there doing all this investigative reporting on I'd send them to Frank Chop. I sent them to other politicians.
That's so funny.
Frank Chop's not going to talk to us, but they'll talk to the Washington Post.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So at the end of Sonicsgate, it says we reached out to this person, this person, this person, this person. Have you heard back from any of them?
Well, Schultz turned us down right away. He got back to us and said no.
Oh, so he absolutely
not personally, but his PR people.
Right. So he they actually
NBA
responded
officially
and said
denied
no.
us. I don't know that we ever heard back from Bennett, but we got Bennett's lawyer.
Right, because he was in the video. Yeah.
And then Nichols. Yeah, Nichols. I don't think ever got back to us.
Oh man. No. So all the slimy people were just ooh.
And Frank Chop. Frank Chop denied us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've seen.
We didn't put him on the little end card.
Right.
He's still like number 5 or 6 villain as opposed to 1 through 4. 1 through 4.
Fair enough.
1 through 4 are easy. You know, Schultz, Bennett, Nichols, Stern.
Dude,
Yeah. Those guys are like the enemies.
But
But
like number
Frank
one.
Chop, right there.
Yeah.
Right there.
Did you have an issue with the group that was signing the legislative for what is it called? Where the what was the legislative one? I-95.
Yeah.
I-95.
The
Did you have a
Citizens
problem?
for more important things?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what it's called. Citizens for More Important Things.
We actually bought their domain name at one point and redirected it to Sonicsgate. I don't think we're still paying for that, but we thought it lapsed.
Okay. Yeah. So, what's your opinion on that, man? It felt like that was like all the puzzles fitting together.
Yeah, I
at
mean,
the
Chris
wrong
Van
time.
Dyke, that was like his organization. We interviewed him in Sonicsgate. And,
Yeah.
I mean, like, he's not a bad guy. Like, what he's saying is, like, we don't want to, like, take away from homeless or food stamps to pay billionaire arena people. I feel like my stance has, like, softened on them over the years a little bit just because, like, I don't know, but I mean, they screwed things up royally in the 90s for us because they made this like I-91 that like it was meant to sort of regulate, but it sent this like clear signal to the NBA and to these guys that the municipalities didn't want to work with them to get something done. And the citizens don't want it. So that's like a lot of where this like idea that Seattle didn't support their team. We didn't support their team financially as a city to hand over $500 million more to them. We didn't, as a city, support that, but we supported the team. Like we're crazy fans. Like look at us, you know.
For sure.
The Seahawks have like one of the loudest backing.
Well, the Sonics like had the greatest fans in the 90s. You know? So,
and look at how fast the Sounders have taken off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, and you better bet the Sonics will be bigger and better than ever when they come back because there's like all this pain, everything everyone's been through with Sonicsgate and all this stuff. Like we're all gonna be like so happy when we get a team back. It's gonna be so weird to not even be like talking about all this other stuff anymore and just be talking about basketball. Yeah. Like, well, hey, who are we gonna draft this year? I haven't had a conversation like that in a decade.
Right.
You know?
Oh my gosh, dude. That's so funny. I didn't even think about that. That's a good perspective, dude. Damn. Okay. So
because I remember after watching, I texted you after I watched the video. I was like, or your, Sonicsgate, and I was like, I need a drink.
Heavy subject for sure.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know, Jason has a documentary on the Seattle Supersonics leaving Seattle and becoming the OKC Thunder. And you guys should go check. What is it called? Sonicsgate.org?
Or .com.
.com? You guys got the .com now?
We got the .com now. We did for a little while.
Okay. All right. I've seen you on Outside the Lines, and I've seen you on Como 4 News, and I've seen you on Q13 doing tons and tons of interviews.
Yeah.
I've never heard you once say public enemy number one for you.
Oh, I've said it. Said it a lot in the last couple of weeks.
Who is it? Oh, so it's Schultz?
Yeah, it's Schultz.
Yeah.
It's Schultz. He's
All right.
the slime ball that sold the team. If he didn't sell the team, then they'd still be here.
All right. I totally agree with that, man.
And he's the guy that already sold out our city by selling our coffee culture to the world, and then he sold us out by selling our team.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And he was supposed to be the local guy who was looking out for the public trust and our best interest.
The public trust.
And he just totally boned us. He totally screwed us. Yeah. Without that move, then none of these other steps. Frank Chop, we would be mad at him. We would be mad at Nichols.
Sure.
Mad at even Stern or Bennett because he had the power to keep the team. He had the power to keep the team here. He had the power to sell to a local investor. He had the power to wait to sell to the right local investor. He had all the power in the world, and he didn't exercise it.
With how much money this guy makes just from Starbucks alone, he could take a couple $1 million hits from owning a losing money franchise.
What's so pathetic about his begging to the state legislature is you're a billionaire, dude, and you're complaining about losing $10 or $20 million a year on a franchise that's going up in value twice that every year.
Yeah.
You know, he bought it for $200 million in 2001. He sold it for $350 million in 2006. Went up $150 million. They only lost $90 million over that time. So he actually netted $60 million on the sale of the franchise. And if he would have held the franchise longer, it would be worth $1.3 billion according to Forbes right now.
Yeah.
If it was in Seattle, not Oklahoma City, we're coming up to 1.5, 1.6, 1.7 billion, maybe even $2 billion for a franchise in Seattle.
And think about, we would have been able to see the Sonics or Thunder playing in the finals. What was that in
2012?
And you went to that, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, so I saw videos of him on behind the bench. You guys did that a lot. Where'd you guys go?
We went to Portland a lot at the beginning because that's easy.
Right.
And then the first big one we did was I guess it was like the second year after the team left, the first year that the Thunder were in the playoffs, they played the Lakers in the first round.
Right.
We went down to LA and protested there. And the next year we did a Kickstarter because this is not a cheap thing to do.
Right.
Like go buy courtside tickets behind the bench. Then we got a Kickstarter and we went to Denver the next year. And then I think the finals were the next year, and that was when we didn't do a Kickstarter. That I opened a credit card and we threw down $4,000 a ticket and sat courtside at the NBA finals at the pivotal game. I think it was game 4 or game 5, but whatever it was the pivotal game that they lost at the very end when Harden totally choked, and then they lost the finals the next game.
Which one did you see Clay Bennett at?
That was in Denver.
That was in Denver?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Well, he was also in LA. He was in the same section as us. He always would sit behind the Thunder bench, but we were like 20 rows up. We were like row 1 or 2 behind the Thunder bench. So we were always in the same section.
Was it always a goal to get so close to the bench that you guys could have your signs on TV?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I like it. Oh, and also to yell at Durant and other players. Like, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I yelled at Durant that he absolutely hurt me that you're never going to win a championship in Oklahoma City. Leave now. You're cursed, Durant. You're cursed. I mean, I would just go on and on. Hours.
I like it.
Hours. So, I mean, he heard it. In Miami, actually, when we went to the finals, Durant's mom and son were in the seats directly behind me and my friend. We were dressed as zombies.
Yeah. Okay.
And they got, I still remember Durant's mom got in the seat and she's like, oh, hell no. Durant at that time used to always like communicate with his mom during the game.
Right.
He had to look through a couple zombie Sonics to communicate with him.
I like it. That's awesome. Oh, man.
It's been a wild ride.
That's cool. So how do you feel about Kevin Durant in Golden State now?
It's awesome.
It's awesome. You like it?
Well, I like it. Anything but Oklahoma City.
Okay.
I like Kevin Durant as a player and everything.
I love Kevin Durant.
I don't have any ill will against the Warriors. I grew up watching, Mullen and Richmond.
Okay.
Those guys.
Okay.
So, West Coast.
Okay. I like it.
And it really screws OKC, which makes me incredibly happy. It's like the ultimate FU to OKC.
How crazy would that?
Feels great.
How crazy would that have been seeing Harden, Durant, and Westbrook all in a Sonics jersey at the same time,
insane.
man?
Yeah, it makes me sad to even talk about it.
Depressing, man. Oh, dude.
Yeah, very depressing.
So I actually looked it up. It has been officially 3,958 days since Seattle had our Sonics here.
Really?
Yeah, 3,958 days. How does that make you feel, man?
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Way too long.
We've seen a couple championships from other teams since then. It's crazy.
I was at the Seahawks Super Bowl championship.
Were you?
In New York, yeah. We were there shooting the kicker movie.
Is that why you were out there standing in front of the NBA store?
That was a different trip.
Oh, okay.
That was that was actually prior to the team leaving.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, so I went, there's multiple videos. I went to the NBA headquarters prior to the team leaving and tried to get a meeting with David Stern and give him a letter. And then that was in my more innocent days where I didn't realize I couldn't just go get an interview with David Stern. And then, after the team left, we went and protested in New York City with Bullhorn outside NBA headquarters, which is 666 Fifth Avenue.
Oh.
A little tidbit for you.
You guys seen on NBA 2K paid respect by adding Sonics gear? Tell Jason I said what's up, go Sonics.
Nice. I haven't seen that, but like I haven't played 2K in a couple of years. We used to play serious 2K.
I like playing 2K, but what I don't like, the reason why I stopped playing it is because after you've had a game for so long, like let's say I have NBA 2K16, they shut the servers down so that you're forced to buy the newer one. So I'm super like involved in my online career mode, and now the servers are down, so I don't play with 2K anymore.
Yeah.
But I play Punch-Out.
That's fair enough. So after 41 years of history of a 1970s championship, the Sonics were just up and gone like that. What do you think is going to take for after us already having the approval of the arena renovations? What do you think is going to take for us to get an NBA team here?
Well, one becomes available.
Okay. Fair enough.
That's the reality of the situation. There's a couple teams that are there's speculative struggles from the Grizzlies, from New Orleans, and there's always the Clippers, which Steve Ballmer owns, and they already have a team in LA and 2 fresh football teams. So there's a lot of competition for entertainment dollars down in LA. So I think those 3 teams would be the most likely to potentially move. Now, I think we're getting really close to the NBA expanding to 32 teams. They're going to continue to deny that until they aren't denying it. And maybe Adam Silver's on TV right now talking about it because he does his like State of the Union NBA speech today. But they usually bring up expansion. He's like, no, we aren't talking about expansion. But NFL's 32 teams, NBA's 30. They have 2 like very appealing markets in Vegas and Seattle. They could also fix some like conference issues with like New Orleans and Memphis being in the West. Makes no sense. Those are East Coast spots. More East Coast than West Coast. Mm-hmm. So those guys could shift east. We could add Vegas and Seattle in the West. Oklahoma.
That would fix it,
Yeah, you can just reorganize. I think I want to say, unless they fix this, Oklahoma's still in the Northwest Division.
Yeah, Oklahoma is, for sure.
So, we got to fix this stuff.
They're in the Western Conference.
Plus, they can get at least $1 billion franchise fee from each franchise.
Oh, yeah.
So the owners would then split. Probably more than that.
I think Vegas would be a really good spot for a basketball team for sure.
I mean, the NBA already has like a pretty big history there.
Yeah,
with the summer camps and stuff.
Yeah,
in there.
Then they have like G leagues or whatever it's called down there.
Yeah, Vegas would be a great place. And obviously the hockey team's doing so well there.
Right.
People would go down there to watch their team for the weekend. They'd sell out. It might be like half visitors and half home people for every game or something. But yeah, I think Vegas would be incredible.
Absolutely.
Well, they're getting the Raiders too. So.
Yeah, and they are. Yeah, they're taking the Raiders.
Yeah, NBA is going to want in on the market. It's a growing market.
Absolutely.
So, and they'd be dumb to not want back in Seattle. They do. Everyone wants back in Seattle, So it's just a matter of finding the right thing, whether it's expansion or getting a team to move.
You hear all the players talking about how awesome Seattle is for an area for a basketball team. And just you would think somebody would be like, oh, okay, get it to click. And make it happen.
And if you need any more proof, I mean, look at how many people travel all over the state to go to a Jayhawks game or not Jayhawks game, the Seattle University or UW.
People travel for UW.
I mean, even from like I've seen people
even
from
Gonzaga.
Or Gonzaga. I mean,
it's true.
Yeah, totally.
Man. So who do you root for now?
Anti-Thunder mostly.
Anti-Thunder.
And fantasy players.
Fantasy players? Okay. All right.
Pretty invested in fantasy. We've had
that's a good way to keep up with the
We've had up to leagues of 20 people. Since the 20 teams since the Sonics left. Our current league's 14. Which is a pretty good amount. We were at 12 for a few years, and 16 is actually really fun because then you have the 8 winners seed and the 8 losers seed. But yeah, I mean, like you follow individual players. So like, for instance, like, this year I have a couple Kings, like I'm watching more Kings games than I would normally. Just trade for Giannis, so I'm watching some Bucks games.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, mostly it's just like anti-Thunder, which, like regular season, I'll like turn on the game, but mostly like live for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like last year as the biggest Jazz fan, Donovan Mitchell is just
Okay.
awesome.
I like it.
And
Okay.
I hated the Jazz.
Yeah.
As long as
Right.
Yeah.
Now I'm like a huge Spurs fan. It's like, what? How am I a Spurs fan? I hate the fucking Spurs.
Spurs suck.
But yeah, I mean, just individual players and just watching good games.
Okay. All right. Big Seahawks fan?
Yeah.
Big Mariners fan? Not really.
Yeah.
You talked about
I was a
that.
big Mariners fan in like the 90s. You know?
Okay.
I went to like most of those playoff games and stuff back in the refuse to lose era.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was definitely like a big baseball fan. And then around that time in the mid 90s, I just switched my allegiance fully to the Sonics. I was like the Sonics in like late 80s, early 90s, but then like once Peyton and Kemp were here,
Yeah.
I was like way into basketball, like pretty much from
So-
that point on.
As big of a fan as you are, how cool was it to actually like get to talk to all these guys?
Oh yeah, it was incredible.
Yeah.
To talk to like
That's awesome.
to meet all these guys, you know, like meet Peyton, hang out with him. Peyton came with us to the Webby Awards
Yeah, I
in
saw
New York, and yeah,
Yeah.
it was incredible. You know, I got to meet all these guys that I never thought I'd get to meet, and gotten to know Sean Kemp fairly well over the last few years. We couldn't get Kemp on the original cut of Sonicsgate, but once we got the TV cut,
And bonus
he was,
cuts.
we were able to get an interview with him. We've hung out with him a number of times. He's
Nice.
like super cool dude.
Nice. I like
Kemp
it.
jersey. Representing.
Dang. Okay.
Yeah.
You want to pop off with one of your?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
With all this, the Sonicsgate stuff, if a team did move from another city, how would that make you feel like for their fans?
Well, at this point, I care less and less because who cares? It's been a decade. Like
Fair
honestly,
enough.
like with the Kings, you know, we really didn't want to take the Kings, but at the same time, if the powers that be decided that the Kings were moving to Seattle, we would have supported it.
Well, sure.
Like, we don't want to like take a team. I would feel absolutely not bad at all about taking the Clippers. Like I wouldn't actually feel any guilt. They have the Lakers. Ballmer bought the team for $2 billion. He gets to do whatever he wants. He made every NBA owner $1 billion richer with that move.
Yeah.
He gets to do whatever he wants. And LA doesn't need the Clippers. Sorry. Memphis, screw them. They stole it from Vancouver.
Yeah.
We used to have 3 teams in the Pacific Northwest, and now we have 1.
Yep.
I would feel pretty much no qualms about bringing the Grizzlies here. New Orleans, I think New Orleans should stay. You know,
Okay.
they're kind of like the Kings.
They've
It's
been
kind of like
bouncing back and forth between. Didn't they play in Oklahoma?
they played
Yeah,
just when
after-
they didn't have their arena and stuff.
Okay.
yeah,
okay.
after Katrina, I think. So
Okay,
that was like
okay.
2006.
Yeah, so,
So
I
that wasn't
probably
like-
feel like worse about New Orleans, but I really don't have a lot of qualms with Memphis and the Clippers.
Okay.
I would.
Or even Charlotte, like if they, I don't know. like Charlotte already lost one team. If they they can get a third one.
Fair enough.
And also, like honestly, like I watch a lot of basketball. Like no one goes to the Hawks games.
Really,
Like, they're at least their lower bowl. Like just check out some Hawks games someday.
dude.
They like I don't know what's going on in Atlanta. That's where TNT is and all this stuff. They've had a fairly
They
competitive
should,
team.
yeah.
They should be going, but they don't.
That's crazy. Everyone's a Falcons fan apparently. Too busy.
But yeah, I vote expansion number 1, Clippers number 2, Memphis number 3.
So,
Okay.
How
In
would
terms
you-
of what I would be, you know.
how would you feel if they uprooted somebody who had as deep of a franchise background as the Sonics did? Like if they uprooted somebody like, I don't know, it would never, ever, ever happen. But if like the Lakers were to move to Seattle and now all of the Lakers stats and all that stuff becomes Seattle's stats.
Yeah, Lakers maybe aren't the best example.
But you get what I'm saying.
Right. We were like the Bucks were up potentially to move, and they've been around as long
For
as
a while, yeah.
40 years or whatever. So, I mean, once again, I care less and less because it's been so long, and just like at first you're like, oh, I feel bad. Well, you know what? I felt bad for a decade.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Okay.
like,
That's true.
whatever it takes at this point.
I like it.
I'll
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take Key Arena, sure. Like a bunch of out of town guys, sure. Go ahead and do Key Arena if that's what's gonna get us a team.
Right.
Like, yeah, I'd much rather have it in Sona. I'd much rather have Chris Hansen and the Nordstroms as owners. But you know what? Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Bring a team.
Yeah.
Like, get us a team.
I like it.
Yeah.
Whoever the powers that be, however it goes down. And especially the way Sacramento went down. They made us feel like we were getting the team. and they like ripped our hearts out again. Now it saved the hearts of Kings fans.
Yeah.
We befriended a lot of Kings fans over that time. Like,
Yeah,
and I'm happy for them that they saved the team, but like we got screwed, double screwed.
Yeah, and that
KJ really stepped up for them.
He did.
Yeah. So,
yeah,
what were you saying?
That vote wasn't even close.
Not
It
even.
was like
It was
28-2.
Yeah.
For which one?
For the
Kings.
Sacramento Kings to stay.
Right.
How crazy is it that it was just Paul Allen and Mark Cuban?
Well, that was
voting?
for you're getting them confused. So it was actually closer on the Hansen vote. I don't want to say it was like 13 to 18 or 17 or something.
Was it really that close?
On when Hansen and the Kings like presented to the Board of Governors, it was at least like 10 votes on the Hansen team and 20 votes on the Kings side.
Oh, okay.
When they voted to relocate the Sonics to Oklahoma City, that was 20-2, and Paul Allen.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So
we can look up the stats. Maybe it was only 8 people that voted. Like they almost swung the room for the Hansen deal in the Kings, but David Stern was pushing very hard on the other
keeping
side.
the Kings. That guy, man.
Yeah, he's a punk.
Where are you at now, dude?
He's chilling out. Just like doesn't care at all.
Sipping Mai
anymore.
Tais. Question for Jason: How did Miami fans react to you guys rooting for Miami?
Well, all right. At first there was mass confusion because they're like, "Who are these guys? Are they rooting for the Thunder? We don't get it." Like most people who are from here are like, "Oh, you must still be rooting for the team that left," and we're like, "No, those guys screwed us. We're rooting against them." You know. Luckily, like ESPN helped us out because they were doing some things like they showed the finals that year, and the only 2 places in the country that were voting for Miami was Miami and Seattle. So people kind of already like knew what we were up to, but like I still remember we had the zombie makeup on and the jerseys, and we got out of the cab, and we were like Brad Pitt or something. There was just like hundreds of people surrounding us. Everybody wanted to take pictures, and we're just like #ZombieSonics, you know. And we just like fought our way in the arena, and I had a backpack full of like DVDs and stickers and just like flyers, and they confiscated it at the door.
Really?
And then like we had our signs. Though they didn't confiscate everything, but they made me pull out anything that could be construed as merchandise out of the bag. And then, but we had the zombie stuff on. We had our original signs, which is one over there. We can.
Show it. Bring it out.
It's very close.
If you guys aren't aware, we have Jason Reid, the producer and director of Sonicsgate. BOKC.
This is one of the signs we had custom made. The other side is
Bring back our Seattle Supersonics.
So anyway, we had these signs, and we held them up the whole first half. I'm texting people, and they're like, we don't see the signs that well because they actually they look awesome, you know, but they didn't show up on national TV.
Right.
And then at halftime, NBA security came over to us, and they confiscated our signs because they weren't league sanctioned.
Really?
Yeah. But little did they know I had a giant 6-foot-long Sonics flag NBA sanctioned in my backpack that they didn't take. So the whole second half of the game, if you see the footage, our flag is super noticeable, and you can totally see it. But they are doing a good job of cutting around us, of course. But
they took this away from you, huh?
yeah, and then they gave it back after the game.
Did they give you back all your merchandise?
Yeah, they gave everything back after the game. But,
Okay.
yeah. They basically, from what we heard, they said the owner of the other franchise doesn't want those signs to be there.
For the Heat?
No, the owner of the Thunder. But yeah, there's some people in the arena that really didn't even understand, because I'm sitting there I'm a bigger Heat fan than they are, being Heat fans, because I really wanted the Thunder to lose that bad.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there, and everyone's just sitting around, all the rich people in their courtside seats, and I'm just like, come on, guys, stand up. Why are you cheering for your team? Let's go, Heat. Beat OKC. And they were just mostly confused. A lot of people had seen Sonicsgate, so you had people that could help us explain it. And I had some flyers left in my pocket, so I'd be like, here, check it out.
Yeah, okay.
Once you explain it, people get it.
Yeah,
But
for
it's
sure.
a little confusing.
I actually, while I was in the Army, was stationed in Kansas and drove up to Oklahoma City to catch a Thunder game against the Dallas Mavericks. I went, and I actually had all of my Sonics gear stuff on too, and had a sign myself that I made. Mine's not nearly as extravagant as yours is, but I had that.
Nice.
So as I'm leaving after Dallas loses that match, I actually had a couple Thunder fans take my sign and rip it in half and be like, "They're not your team anymore. Go home."
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man.
They're pretty nasty.
Yeah. I don't get it.
I've had a lot of hate calls
Have you?
from Oklahoma people.
Really?
Yeah, if you ever come down here, we're going to beat your ass.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Your steaks suck too.
We're trolling them pretty hard, so it's understandable that they'd have that response.
Sure.
Hey,
But we
I
had to troll them, It's like,
it's part of the whole fun of it, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So Adam Silver has spoke out many times about not doing an expansion. I don't know we talked about it, but you still are convinced that an expansion team is going to happen?
Absolutely.
You think so?
Yeah. It's just they say that until they don't say it.
Say that until they don't say it.
They're going to say no until it's a thing. Just like we didn't have an arena. David Stern's like, hey, you guys don't have an arena deal.
Yeah.
Until you have an arena deal, we don't have anything to talk about.
Right.
It's like, no, we had it. We had 150 million. We had 75 million. We just need that last thing. Do you have an arena deal? Nope. Okay, let's move on. So that's the same kind of thing.
That's crazy, man.
So
How frustrating is that?
So hey, we aren't doing expansion. Then one day they're gonna be like, oh, we're gonna expand.
Yeah.
They aren't gonna say anything about that until it's happening.
Why do you think that is?
Just financial stuff. I think they want to like do the expansion franchise at the time when their franchise values are at like peak levels, so they can charge the peak expansion fee. They do need to get agreement from all the owners to do this. So they need to like work out that deal that like makes the owners like.
That makes sense.
So it's just like one of these business things.
I don't know though. I mean, like right now, what's their value? Like 1.2 billion or something like that. And it'd be hard to turn down if you had two teams.
Well, especially when they're
$2.4 billion.
very lucrative markets. The thing is, they have profit sharing in the NBA, and so like you add two more teams, your profits go down that much. Hence the expansion fee that kind of makes them whole at the beginning before that. But if you add the two right markets, like Las Vegas and Seattle, then you can actually like expand the growth of the game. So then actually the pot gets bigger because you have the right markets. So they aren't going to add like Louisville or something like that, even if they like want it. But.
Has Seattle's market gone up since the video? You guys kept harping on the 13th, or it wasn't on the
largest media market.
Yeah.
I think we've gone up like a couple notches on the media market. I want to say maybe we're like 11.
Okay.
Or something.
I don't know if you've like kept up with that or not.
I looked it up a couple years ago.
Okay.
I think we've gone up to like 11. But we are like money wise, you talk about like home values and things like that. I mean, there's way more money here, which is what drives like the suites, and like the corporate suites would sell out right away.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
No problem.
I mean, was this like the third or fourth year Seattle's had like the most cranes in the country? Or
everybody knows
like
what's going on here, and that there's plenty of money here.
Yeah, I mean, dude, even like suites at Thunderbirds games, or not Thunderbirds game, Tacoma Rainiers games, like get bought out quick. So I mean, that's.
Yeah, and I think like hockey, I just think hockey fans and basketball fans are different. I mean, there's probably a little bit of crossover, but I feel like there's like a ton of like hockey type people here, just like there's a ton of soccer people, just like there's a ton of baseball people. We have a lot of people in this area. Yeah. So I think that, and there's basketball people who are not satisfied like me going to any of those other sports.
Right.
And I'm not satisfied watching Husky basketball. I don't like college is fine. I go down to Vegas for March Madness every year and plays a bunch of parlays, but I don't like watch. I don't like watch a bunch of college. Like I want to watch the best basketball in the world.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
I don't want to waste my time with the college guys unless it's the tourney, which is fun.
Yeah. The March Madness is fun to watch, but it's not the like caliber level of like the NBA to watch. So and it's just absolutely crap, dude. I'm just so torn about this. Oh man. So tell us more about the unless you got some other questions on there that you want to ask, but
no, I think we covered pretty much everything I had.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about the K2 video?
Yeah.
You
We
guys
did
did?
a doc back in, I guess, let's see, it came out in 2012
Okay.
called K2 Siren and Himalayas, which I think you watched, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, it was on Netflix for a couple years and got a lot of like views, and yeah, it's on iTunes now. It's actually going on sale 99 cents next week on iTunes.
Hey, go check it out.
To rent if you want to check it out. But yeah, K2Siren.com, you can watch the trailer. It basically follows 4 elite athletes as they go to climb K2, which is the second largest mountain in the world in Pakistan. And what we did was my friend Dave Olson went and did it. I didn't go and film this expedition.
Okay.
He came back and we tried to figure out like how to tell the story. And so there was an expedition 100 years earlier, an Italian expedition that they wrote like this long journal for, and they took a bunch of early motion picture film and early still images, like glass plate negatives on these big glass plates. And so we basically intercut the 1909 expedition and the 2009 expedition, and it kind of goes back and forth, kind of poetically.
That's pretty cool.
It's not like an adrenaline mountain climbing film. It's more of like a meditative, poetic, outdoor mountain film. But yeah, it was a big success. We took it around to festivals around the world, won some grand prizes. It got on Netflix, and it actually was a pretty successful film for us. And what kind of led me to Dirtbag, our new climbing film.
Okay.
Because we learned more about the climbing world and the climbing filmmaking world, which is like growing, and there's a ton of opportunities there. So, and I've got to go to all these film festivals around the world, like mountain adventure outdoor film festivals. It's really cool scene.
Do you mountain climb?
A little bit.
A little bit?
Yeah, I climbed Rainier and Baker and Adams and St. Helens. That's like the main extent, and some smaller stuff.
Okay.
I broke my leg and ankle on Rainier though, 3 years ago. I was filming a project with a team of veterans that went to Everest and summited later that year, and I went with them on their first expedition to Rainier because I was going to maybe direct that project. And long story short, on the way down, I slipped and broke my leg and ankle, and that kind of took me out of that project.
Damn.
And so yeah, I'm more like, I'd say I'm more of like the hiking speed now.
Okay.
Intense hiking as opposed to like.
Like climbing. Yeah.
I'll climb some stuff. I'm not a rock climber though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That shit's crazy.
Have you thought about trying to get Sonicsgate on Netflix?
Yeah, like it's tough because we have the 2-hour version for free online still. We were able to thread the needle and have it on CNBC air, and then we aired it on ESPN Classic for 3 years. It's on iTunes and other formats. Netflix just doesn't gain a lot of old stuff.
Okay.
So now Sonicsgate's like an older film. It's on Amazon Prime streaming.
Okay.
The television version.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can
Cool.
watch it on there. But yeah, not Netflix at this point. Now, if we did a sequel or something, like they want new content.
Was that ever in your head to make a Sonicsgate follow-up?
Maybe if we can get a happy ending to the story.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I mean these projects take a tremendous amount of resources, so
Right.
it's also a matter of like if somebody was like, "Hey, I want to fund you guys making the Sonics piece," like, sure, well, absolutely, dude. I've filmed a bunch of stuff since then. Like, you know,
That's cool.
But yeah, I don't know that like we're gonna get that finance here.
Right. Right. Okay.
But if anyone's watching, wants to fund it,
Funding.
we'll make it.
Hey, looking for a Sonics video.
No, there's a lot of sagas to it since our movie ended, between the King stuff and
Yeah,
the local
absolutely.
arena stuff. I mean, it's a really interesting story, and I'd be happy to do it if we had the resources to it.
Yeah,
Right.
even just Hanson buying all this property.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy. There's a lot of twists and turns.
Yeah.
It's been
ESPN had a 30 for 30 that they were going to release on the Kings thing that covered a lot of that middle ground, but they shelved it with the KJ allegations.
the KJ allegations. Tell me about the KJ allegations.
Just Google KJ Deadspin sexual assault.
Woo.
You can read the articles. There's a reason he's not mayor anymore. Let's just put it that way.
Okay. Didn't know about
Kings
that.
fans will forever. I know I'm filling you guys in on all kinds of stuff. Yeah, Google that. Google Aubrey McClendon. Google a couple other things if you want to catch up to speed on some of these characters and what's been going on.
Okay. There's some slimy people out there.
Yeah, I mean the KJ stuff is like there's definitely some serious allegations.
That's crazy. Okay. So I'm really, really interested in this. I haven't watched it, but I saw that you had a documentary that you biked from.
Oh yeah,
Was it Beijing to Shanghai or
Yeah.
Shanghai to Beijing?
Beijing to Shanghai.
Okay. How was that? Tell me about that, man.
That was crazy. So that was back in 2008, like right after the Olympics, when kind of China was really having its like coming out to the world party, like, hey, we're a giant superpower that you're gonna have to deal with for the rest of your lives. Welcome to the Olympics 2008, you know? And so we got the idea to bicycle like between the two largest cities in China immediately following the Olympics to kind of get a real look at what China was like. So, you know, a few weeks after the games, they had stopped all the factories and everything. They started those back up, and we took this bike journey. We went out to the coast and all the way down the coast. It was crazy, you know, it was just seeing, it was basically like about everything we saw, everything from like migrant workers to like urban rural disparity and growth in the urban centers, and just learning about the people of China and meeting people on the way. We had a Chinese guide who cycled with us.
That's cool.
We got to know a young guy. His name's Dovin.
Okay.
Super cool.
You still keep in touch with him?
Yep. A little bit.
Cool.
He has a kid and stuff. He's just doing things in China.
Yeah, doing China stuff.
Doing some tours. You know, bike touring is like a weird thing over there because it's only foreigners that do it. Like Chinese people don't go bike touring.
Right. Okay.
So it's like foreigners that are doing like bike touring. So yeah, it was a success. That's actually what I won the Emmy for. Aired on KCTS9 or local PBS. It's not available digitally right now, actually. Unfortunately, I need to get my act together and get it up somewhere.
Okay. Yeah, because I was trying to find it, and I thought it was really intriguing.
I'll give you a DVD.
Okay. Oh, I appreciate that. That's cool. How long did that take you?
We were on the road. We were out of town for about 6 weeks. The bike trip itself was a month.
Ooh.
We did 1,000 miles, anywhere from like 30 to 70 miles a day, depending on the day.
Okay.
There were some areas that were mountainous, and those kind of sucked.
Yeah.
You'll see in the movie.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'd like to check that out, man. I don't know if we have too much more to talk about, unless you.
Oh, we got the kicker coming out.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's
NFL
right. Kickers.
Yeah, tell us about the kicker, man.
After Sonicsgate's success, we were like, oh, we should make another sports doc.
Yeah.
And our cinematographer on Sonicsgate, Ian Connors, has had this idea about NFL kickers for a long time, and so we embarked on this process that we thought would only take a year or two.
Right.
And now we're sitting here about 9 years later. The movie's still not done. It's a long story, a lot of ups and downs, and peaks and valleys, and twists and turns. But long story short is we've interviewed pretty much all the greatest kickers of all time. Our main star is Morton Anderson, who over the last 5 years was on a journey to get into the Hall of Fame. There's currently only, before Morton got in, one kicker in the Hall of Fame ever, Jan Stener.
Yeah.
And it's kind of an injustice given how important kicking is to the game of football. And so Morton, at that point, was the leading point scorer of all time. He kicked for over 25 seasons, kicked into his mid to late 40s. And so, yeah, anyway, we followed him on his journey to get into the Hall of Fame. And in the meantime, we tell a bunch of other kicker stories, like crazy, wild personalities. These guys are really weird.
Yeah, are they?
There's a lot of there's a lot of fun stories in regards to kickers. There's a lot of lack of respect for them. They're parodied a lot in pop culture, yet the games, how often do you watch football games that come down to the kicker?
Yeah, that's true.
You know, it's like this individual sport that's wrapped up into a team sport. It's totally unique. It's totally a different position than the rest of the game. So it's like a really interesting topic to cover. And so we've kind of covered all the different aspects of kicking that you could think about.
That's really cool. That's cool. So it's basically just trying to get a perspective from being a kicker and how it is to be in the position that they're in.
Yeah, basically. And just like even things like superstitions and game day and pranks they can pull in the locker room while the other guys are at practice and they're just screwing around. And, there's a lot, and then the pressure, what's it feel like to miss? What's it feel like to be Scott Norwood and missing the Super Bowl kick? What's it feel like to be Billy Cundiff, who's getting death threats after he misses the kick for the Ravens? So
Cody Parkey, poor guy.
I mean, you just watch the last couple of years since they moved the extra point back. I mean, it's been nuts for kickers.
Oh yeah.
So it's made it. It tried to make it a less important part of the game. I think it actually has made it more important because your kickers have to be that much better to succeed.
Did the extra point move get put into your film?
It hasn't yet, but I think we'll figure out a way to get it in.
Okay.
Yeah, it's tough because there's been a bunch of rules changes. They have these things called the K balls, which are the new balls out of the packaging, so you can't they used to take them home and run through the dryer, and loosen them up so they was soft on their feet. Now all the balls are super hard, fresh out of the plastic.
So I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
And unfortunately, in a movie that's a feature, we've had to cut a lot of these threads because it's you can't cover everything. Like, and what we found is the most successful part are these crazy like personal stories from these guys.
Yeah, I bet.
Like their greatest kicks or their greatest failures or the things
Sure.
that they do to prepare, and really like getting into rules changes and stuff is interesting. But like we're going away from even like the science of kicking a football. Like we've reread this movie a ton of times, so we have like hours and hours of footage, right?
Okay.
So yeah, we have like an 82-minute cut that's really tight that tells the story about these kickers. Kickermovie.com. You can watch the trailer at Kickermovie on Twitter.
Kickermovie.com.
Yeah, that's coming out in 2019.
Cool.
And we have other projects, some sports, some not, that are in various stages of production or pre-production or whatever you want to call it.
So you're keeping pretty busy with it then.
Definitely.
Okay. I like it. Okay. So actually, I did want to ask you a little bit about Seattle Seahawks if you wanted to talk some Seahawks.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So I saw on the trailer for Kicker that you had like clips of somebody kicking in Quest Field.
Yeah.
Was that like, did you just have somebody out there
We flew John Carney in, who's like the number 4 kicker of all time. He's retired, but he still like trains a lot of kickers, so he's still in good shape.
Okay.
So we flew him in, and then we got a holder and a snapper from the area for the shot, and CenturyLink let us shoot.
That's cool.
In there.
That's cool.
So that was super cool. The kickers have all been really cool. They're all supportive of it. They want their story told. So John Carney came up for it and stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Do you have to go super out of your way to try and get into CenturyLink to do filming for that?
It's a little easier than you think.
Really?
You gotta know the right people.
Right. Okay. Okay. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So how much of a Seahawks fan are you? You like football a lot?
Yeah, I'd say like I'm not nearly as big of a football fan as basketball. Football's probably number 2 for me.
Okay.
I pretty much watch all the Seahawks games.
I
went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, fair enough. How are you feeling about
I also went to that awesome Green Bay game.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, leading up to the Super Bowl.
Really?
And, I think it was the next year when we got the Super Bowl and lost that game in the playoffs.
Yeah,
I was at
that's
that game.
crazy.
The onside,
Yeah,
it was so intense. And I have like some
onside
Green
kick.
Bay friends, and they were like, they were seeming real confident at that time.
Yeah, I've got a Green Bay fan, a friend that I watched that with, and he was just talking all kinds of crap.
I still hear about that.
Yeah. So good. So good.
They're
Fail
so
Mary's
mad.
always
so
good
mad.
too.
They're so mad.
Fail Mary's always good too.
Yeah.
So
I mean, being like a football, I think the kicker making this over the course of the last 8 years, we've been to the Super Bowl a few times and NFL honors, and we've been to all these practice facilities all over the country. I've interviewed all these guys. It's really like made me more of a football fan than I was.
That's cool.
Kind of getting in with you. We were in Canton, Ohio last year for the
Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame induction of Morton Anderson. I've been to Canton, Ohio 3 times. Don't need to ever go again. It's a good, cool place if you're a huge football fan.
That's funny.
I definitely do not want to go back to it. I'll probably end up there somehow the 4th time.
What's in Ohio other than that? In Cleveland.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
The Browns.
The Browns. Yeah, he's saying they're going to make the Super
Actually,
Bowl
downtown
next year.
Cleveland's pretty cool. Just Canton just kind of sucks. Canton's like you go through Akron, which is your favorite LeBron's from.
Yeah.
Can't believe he's from there. God. Ugh. No offense, Ohio.
Eric thinks that the Browns are going to make the Super Bowl next year. Yep.
Well, they got Hunt, right?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
I think that helps.
It definitely
Well, it
does.
helps on the football side. I don't know about other.
Yeah, they
How
should
you-
really kick it into high gear with that.
That was a bad pun, man. So what are you thinking about all the off-season stuff for the Seahawks, man?
Well, obviously we exceeded expectations this last year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which was really cool to see. I mean, like, you can't knock Russell Wilson. He's just
doing Russell Wilson
I mean,
stuff.
we wouldn't be in the playoffs without him.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see like what happens at running back and like which one of these guys like rises to the top. I mean, I think we have some interesting talent.
You think Earl Thomas is coming back? No, I don't think so either.
Doesn't seem that way.
No.
Was he flipping off the sideline?
Yeah, I read online that he actually enrolled his kids into school down in Austin. So
yeah, he's not. I mean, maybe. Well, it's not gonna
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Especially Paul Allen's even not here anymore. Maybe Paul Allen could have like swayed him or something. But
Have you heard anything about his sister taking over for them?
It's been very quiet.
Yeah, I can't.
I think
find
the
anything on that.
Seahawks are probably pretty safe.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
They're not going anywhere. Mariners maybe. No, they won't go anywhere.
They got their T-Mobile park. So
Yeah, right. They did. They just
I hear
got
it's
that.
pink.
Yeah.
I haven't
You
driven
can't
by
see it
it
from
yet.
here.
No, it's close.
Okay.
So you can...
Okay. Well, I mean, do you want to plug anything before we shut this
I'm
thing
trying to
off?
think. I mean, I always follow Sonicsgate on Twitter, and Instagram or whatever your format is.
Yeah.
I'm more of a Twitter guy myself. I'm Reid 206, REID 206.
Follow Jason.
Not
Follow
really on Facebook.
Sonicsgate. Not really on Facebook.
Down with Schultz,
Down with Schultz. Yeah. You have to pay to read his apology.
yeah, definitely. Spread the word about Sonicsgate, especially for these. If Schultz ends up taking this thing the distance, like a lot of people still don't know about this saga, and I think it proves him to be a bold-faced liar and egotistical maniac and not suitable for office.
We might end up in Russia.
Yeah. Seriously. He's like a different, like Donald Trump's terrible, but he's like a different kind of terrible on the same level. Just different
We
kind.
just need to keep
Different
these billionaires out of the office, man. But
yeah.
Howard Schultz, down with Schultz, never Schultz. Check out Sonicsgate.com.
Dirtbag movie.
Dirtbag movie.
Siren. I don't know. It's probably
Look
good.
out for the kicker.
Yeah, kicker's coming at you. 2019.
Look out for the kicker. Let's see if anybody said anything, asking a question real quick. What's up, guys? Sorry, Dennis didn't see that. All right. Laces out.
All right, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, laces out. In the movie.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. So, Jason Reid, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming over.
All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're good. See you guys later.